You know that moment when you can feel something shifting in the air even before words are spoken? That's exactly how I felt the second I heard Amanda's voice calling me from the doorway. It carried that forced cheer that people use when they know they're about to ruin someone's day. James, we need to talk. The 6 words no married man ever wants to hear. I paused my show and turned toward her. 14 years of marriage had taught me that when someone says, "We need to talk," it never precedes good news. "Sure, Mandy," I replied casually, keeping my voice even. "What's on your mind?" She stepped further into the living room, and that's when I saw him. Chad. He couldn't have been more than 24. A sharp contrast to Amanda's 38. Fit, young, and with that smug look that only comes from a complete lack of self-awareness. For a brief second, I wondered if he even owned a shirt that wasn't a muscle-hugging tank top. Amanda hesitated, glancing at Chad for support. He gave her a little nod, the kind of encouragement you'd give a toddler trying to use the potty for the first time. "This is Chad," Amanda began, her voice wavering as she fidgeted with her wedding ring. "And it's about him that I want to talk to you." I leaned back, crossing my arms. "All right, Mandy. I'm listening." She looked startled that I wasn't immediately flying into a rage. Chad, however, looked like he was gearing up for some grand monologue. I decided to enjoy their little performance before I took the stage myself. "James," Amanda said, taking a deep breath, "you must have noticed that things between us haven't been great lately." "Oh, enlighten me," I replied dryly, my tone flat. She hesitated, clearly wishing I would just fill in the blanks for her. When I didn't, she powered through. "I mean, we haven't been as close. And, well, our physical relationship hasn't been fulfilling for a while." "Interesting," I said, raising an eyebrow. "You mean the physical relationship you've been avoiding for the past 2 months?" Her cheeks flushed, and she glanced at Chad again as though he might rescue her. "Look," she said, mustering some courage. "What I'm trying to say is that I've grown in ways you haven't. I've been feeling stifled, and Chad has helped me see that." "Ah, so Chad's been helping you?" I said, nodding as though it all made perfect sense. "Go on." "I think," Amanda continued, "that I need some space to find myself. But I don't want this to change anything between us, James. I still love you, and I couldn't imagine my life without you. I just need a little more freedom, a chance to explore what I've been missing." "Explore what you've been missing," I repeated, deadpan. "You mean screwing Chad?" Chad bristled, his smug expression faltering. "That's not what she meant, dude. First of all," I said, locking eyes with him, "I'm not your dude. It's Mr. Bennett to you. Secondly," I continued, "maybe you should let Amanda speak for herself." Chad clenched his jaw, clearly frustrated. Amanda stepped forward, placing a hand on his arm to calm him. "James, please don't make this harder than it needs to be," she said softly, as if she were explaining to a child why candy before dinner wasn't a good idea. "Oh, don't worry," I said, smiling faintly. "I'm all ears. Keep explaining how you want to find yourself." Amanda brightened, thinking I was coming around. "Yes, it's not about you, James. It's about me. I need this to grow as a person. And Chad and we've talked about it. We think this arrangement could work for all of us." "Arrangement?" I asked, eyebrow raised. "Yes," she said eagerly. "We thought maybe I could see Chad a few nights a week, but I'd still come home to you. Nothing between us has to change, James. I'd just be happier, and you'd hardly notice a difference." I couldn't help but laugh, a low, humorless chuckle that stopped them both in their tracks. "So let me get this straight," I said. "I keep paying the bills, fixing the house, and playing your loyal husband while you're off finding your spiritual growth in Chad's bed? Does that about sum it up?" "It's not like that," Amanda insisted. "I'd still be here for you, James. I'm not leaving. I just need this to feel whole again." "And you're fine with this?" I asked, turning to Chad. "Why not?" he said, smirking. "You can have her too, dude. Share and share alike. Right?" The audacity of this kid was almost impressive. I gave him a long, appraising look, letting the silence stretch out until his smirk faltered. "All right," I said finally. Let's see where this goes. The living room fell silent after my statement. Amanda and Chad exchanged a look, clearly unsure if I was serious or just biding my time to explode. Wait, Amanda said cautiously. You're okay with this? I shrugged. If this is what you think will make you happy, who am I to stop you? Her shoulders relaxed, and she gave Chad a hopeful smile, clearly thinking they'd pulled off some masterful negotiation. Chad, though, wasn't done flexing his arrogance. See, he said, grinning. Told you he'd come around. Guess the old man's smarter than he looks. Old man, I repeated, turning my gaze to him. You think being called Mr. Bennett makes me old, Chad? Well, he started, puffing out his chest. You're what, mid-40s? No offense, but Amanda told me you don't hit the gym much. I smiled, the kind of smile that unnerves people with any instincts at all. Chad, predictably, didn't react well. Interesting, I said, standing up. Tell me something, Chad. What exactly is it you bring to the table, besides your stunning personality and top-tier wisdom on gym etiquette? Amanda tried to interject, but Chad, emboldened by my calm demeanor, forged ahead. Let's be real, dude. Mr. Bennett? I corrected sharply, cutting him off. Whatever, he huffed. Let's be real. Amanda and I have something you and her don't anymore. Passion. Excitement. She's not looking for someone to fix her leaky faucet. She wants someone who makes her feel alive. Alive? I echoed, as if I were seriously contemplating his words. Well, Chad, I'll give you credit for confidence. Tell me, how's Linda doing these days? The mention of Linda's name froze the smirk on his face. What? He asked, narrowing his eyes. Linda, your wife. How's she doing? Amanda's jaw dropped, her eyes darting between Chad and me. James? What are you talking about? Oh, come on, Mandy, I said, my tone almost playful. You didn't think I was just going to let you find yourself without doing a little soul-searching of my own, did you? I turned back to Chad. Linda reached out to me a month ago, told me about you and Amanda. Funny thing about hurt people, Chad. They like to hurt back. Chad's face darkened. You're lying. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and with a couple of taps, held it up for him. The screen displayed a picture of Linda and me, her arm around my shoulder as we toasted drinks. You recognize her, don't you? I asked, watching the color drain from his face. You son of a... Careful. I interrupted, my voice calm but sharp. It's not my fault your wife decided to upgrade. She's a sweet girl, by the way, very accommodating. Did you know she has a rose tattoo? Chad lunged toward me, fist raised, but Amanda grabbed his arm, struggling to hold him back. Chad, stop, she shouted. He stopped, but only because he was calculating his odds. He probably figured I was all talk, another middle-aged guy who couldn't handle himself. But Amanda knew better. I saw it in her eyes. Listen to her, Chad, I said, stepping closer. You don't want this to get physical. Trust me. Chad glared, his fists clenching and unclenching, but he didn't move. Amanda was still holding on to him as if her life depended on it. Why the hell did Linda tell you about us? He spat finally. She was tired of your antics, I said, and I guess she decided it was time for some payback. So while you've been busy making Amanda feel alive, I've been doing the same for Linda. She sends her regards, by the way. Amanda gasped, her face going pale. You're lying, James. This isn't like you. You'd be surprised, Mandy, I said, my voice flat. You both pushed me here. I'm just making the best of a bad situation. Isn't that what you wanted? For us to grow and explore? Well, consider me enlightened. Chad looked like he was about to explode, but before he could say anything, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a key. What's that? He demanded. Oh, this, I said, dangling it in front of him. It's the key to your house. Linda gave it to me after we had the locks changed. Changed? Changed? He choked. Yep, I said. Seems she wasn't too keen on sharing her space with a cheating rat. Don't worry, though. I packed up your things. You'll find them waiting for you on the porch. Amanda stared at me in shock. You did all this behind my back? I shrugged. What can I say? I've been busy these past few weeks. Unlike you, though, I didn't feel the need to broadcast my extracurricular activities. The silence that followed was deafening. I let it hang in the air for a moment, savoring the tension. Well, I said finally, clapping my hands together. I think that about wraps it up. You've got some soul-searching to do, Mandy. And Chad? Good luck finding a place to stay. With that, I turned and headed for the door. I walked toward the front door without a glance back, the sound of their stunned silence trailing behind me. But just as I reached for the handle, Amanda's voice broke through. James, wait! She called, her tone wavering between desperation and anger. I stopped but didn't turn around. What is it, Mandy? I asked, my voice flat, already knowing what was coming. You can't just leave like this, she said, her voice rising. What about us? What about everything we've built? That made me laugh. A deep, genuine laugh that I didn't bother to suppress. What we've built, I echoed. Mandy, you're the one who decided to knock over the house of cards. Don't come crying to me now that it's collapsed. I finally turned to face her, taking in the mix of panic and guilt written all over her face. Chad, on the other hand, was shifting his weight, his hands clenched into fists, but the fight had already drained out of him. Let me be clear about something, I said, my voice calm but firm. You wanted freedom, Mandy, space to find yourself. Well, congratulations. You got all the space you could ever need. She opened her mouth to speak, her voice cracking. But how am I supposed to figure it out? I interrupted, cutting her off. Maybe Chad can help. Oh wait, that might be difficult, seeing as Linda's dad is firing him first thing tomorrow morning. Chad's head snapped up. What the hell are you talking about? I smiled, enjoying the look of dread creeping across Chad's face. Linda's father, I said, drawing out the words slowly. You know, the guy who signs your paycheck? He wasn't thrilled to learn his golden boy was banging a married woman. Chad's face went white. You can't do that, he shouted, his voice shaking. I leaned in closer, savoring his discomfort. Actually, I didn't have to do much at all. Linda took care of it. Apparently, she's not as passive as you thought. Amanda's face drained of color. You've ruined his life. No, I corrected her, my voice cold. He ruined his own life. I just made sure the consequences caught up to him. Chad lunged at me again, but Amanda grabbed his arm, holding him back. Chad, stop. This isn't helping. You're damn right it's not helping, I said, stepping closer to them. But go ahead, Chad, take a swing. I'd love to add assault charges to your list of accomplishments today. He hesitated, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. Then he stepped back, muttering curses under his breath. Amanda turned back to me, tears streaming down her face. James, please don't do this. I made a mistake. A mistake, I said, my voice rising just enough to make her flinch. You call this a mistake? No, Mandy, leaving the oven on overnight is a mistake. Cheating on your husband and dragging your boy toy into my house? That's a goddamn choice. She sobbed, her tears falling freely now, but I didn't care. I felt nothing for her. Just a hollow sense of satisfaction that justice was finally served. You can keep the house, I said, my tone cold. And the car. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce. Don't bother trying to fight it. Everything important to me is already out of here. What about me? She whispered, her voice barely audible. I stared at her, feeling nothing but contempt. What about you, Mandy? You wanted freedom, now you've got it. Enjoy. With that, I turned and walked out the door, heading down the path to my car. The sound of Amanda's sobs faded as I left them behind. As I pulled away from the house, I felt an odd sense of relief. Sure, the divorce would cost me a chunk of money, but it was a small price to pay to cut ties with Amanda and everything she represented. I couldn't help but chuckle as I drove away, swapping a 38-year-old model, still in decent shape but riddled with problems, For a 21-year-old with pristine looks and endless enthusiasm seemed like a damn good deal. Sure, it cost me $100,000 in divorce proceedings, but considering her low mileage and how she handled herself in every way that mattered, it felt worth it. When I arrived at Linda's place, she was waiting for me, her blue eyes sparkling with a mix of mischief and satisfaction. "How'd it go?" she asked as I stepped inside. "About as well as you'd expect," I said, dropping my bag by the door. "Chad's probably halfway to a meltdown, and Amanda's realizing just how empty her freedom really is." Linda laughed, a soft, melodic sound that felt like music after the chaos of the day. "Serves them both right." "Agreed," I said, pulling her into my arms. She tilted her head up, her smile fading as her expression turned serious. "Are you okay, James? I mean, after everything?" I thought about it for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. For the first time in years, I feel free." Linda smiled again, leaning up to kiss me. "Good, because you deserve better." "Damn right I do," I said, grinning. As we settled in for the evening, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. Amanda and Chad had thought they could play me for a fool, but they'd underestimated me. In the end, I came out on top, and they were left to pick up the pieces of their broken lives. Game over.